create some criteria and score all of your clients. And then get rid of your bottom 2. And keep doing that, and you just rebuild all of your clients. Constantly. This never stops. It's how you evolve as a company. So score your clients from A to B or A to F, and then fire the Fs, cherish the A's, and try to get more clients like your A's. But like when we were making commercials and music videos, we didn't always show the one that we finished for the client. We'd show our version, the director's cut. Yeah, because the next client doesn't care. They don't care. It's your portfolio. You do with it what you want. So let's say they said, make the logo 18 times bigger. And you're like, okay, I got to do it. Well, then the one that you put on your website is the one that's appropriately sized. That's all. I don't know what design school you guys went to where they told you must show what the clients. You don't.
The video you're about to watch is a business bootcamp tune-up for our members, where we did an 8-hour deep dive. If you want to learn more on how to level up your business and attract better clients, check out the link below.
You know what Tim told me? He's like, we're like waiting for coffee or whatever. It's like, I don't know why it wasn't freaking so obvious, and now it's so freaking obvious, right? And I would love for all of you to reach some level like, God, that was obvious. Why couldn't I see it? It was just right in front of me. And oftentimes that's the case. So it's Ian, right?
Yeah.
Ian asked me a question. Here you go, Ian. About this whole pivot that I made. So ask that question and I'll try my best.
I think you hinted on it in your intro. So are you saying, the original, I guess, context of where you were headed with educating, helping creatives is now going to shift to helping businesses or business owners?
Mm-hmm.
That was just, I want to make sure I understood that.
Okay, let me explain that and we can get into that. And then I think it's relevant to what we're talking about here, like who your market is. Are they hungry? They're looking for a solution to a problem they feel an urgent desire to solve, right? So I think for the first 8 or 9 years of the future, I was trying to help creatives learn business. And then I realized fairly recently that there were businesses or business people trying to learn art or design. And that we're actually not two different people, we're just two sides of the same coin. And that was the epiphany for me. I just didn't even know they existed, because every suit I've ever met, the least creative person, and they have no desire to be creative, right? It's an indulgence that they might explore in other things, but not really in their business. And I'm not saying that the business is now no longer going to serve creative people. It will continue to. I'm just focusing some of my new energies on bringing the business people into the world of design and art. And there's a benefit here, if you can already see the dots being connected. What do creatives want? Businesses who need creative help. And I would love to be able to just hand feed you all of them. And every once in a while, if you're active in the Future program, you'll see that I post job leads. I don't want any jobs. I don't want to sell any services. And so some people are able to take those down, some aren't. If you're just looking at the leads, some of the jobs are like $5,000 for X. Some of them are 100,000, and you just have to pay attention to what's going on. So people naturally reach out to me, and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find somebody, but you have to tell me the budget, and you have to tell me what it is that you want. If you don't tell me the budget, I'm not going to share it with my community. Someone will say a ridiculously low number relative to what they want. I said, that's not going to work. The jobs that I post in there are already qualified at a certain budget. I'd love to just be able to feed you a steady stream of them. Because imagine if all these entrepreneurs come in, they need help with their design because they think it sucks. They need help with their strategy, their social media. They need help with their e-com or running ad campaigns. So those of you that are smart will start to position and develop your website so it's super clear and you have the case study and the language so that when they look at your site, they will buy. That's it. Now, I think it's a pretty interesting exercise when you see a position for like a new client, who applies, and just, I don't even understand why people don't do this. Look at who's saying, consider me, Chris. And you'll see like anywhere between 3 to 13 people. And you can clearly see from the websites where you stack in that order in terms of can you land this client. What becomes obvious is a couple different things. One is if your website, it looks like a WordPress template. And it's horrific. And the language is unclear. And you can't find more than one example of what it is that you do. I'm just wondering if I was in that group, it would be very clear I need to be more like this person and less like that person. But they don't change their website. They just I put up another position, they submit their website again. They don't get selected. It's just that straightforward. So when we get clear on who we want to serve, then everything becomes really easy. So let's get clarity around that. Now I know it's not that simple. Not all of us sell money with a no risk offer, right? So Ian, to answer your question, no, I'm still going to do the pro group. I'm still writing courses. And there's a bigger master plan here besides just taking money from rich entrepreneurs. That's part of the plan. I do like money. I'm not going to say no to it. But I think it's to connect our two worlds. Because it was like, I didn't know this place existed. And then you're like tripping over bricks of gold. I'm like, maybe I need to tell other people this thing exists. We'll find out. It's still pretty early on. But I'm getting clarity around this, and it's very exciting to me. Like every day I talk to a prospect, I get more clarity. And then you can just imagine what's happening in my brain. I'm going to connect the website to exactly what they say until they all just line up to buy. Until it becomes a no-brainer offer. Okay? All right. Let's continue on here. So Tim has clear client, is hungry. Now we need to add some layers to this, right? I forgot your name. Is it Dan? Dan, you said, what if this happened? So let's throw Dan the mic. And we're going to get to you in the back. Because he had his hand up, and we took the mic from him, Mo, and then we never gave it back to him. Yeah. So it was rude. Yeah, I know he has one, but you didn't give it back to him. You just walked away with it. Go ahead.
So when formulating an ideal client, and then I'm looking at like my past history, and I came out of some situations where, there was some existential circumstances that made the projects, they sort of diminished all the net positives, right? Like, so the case in point, like I was a creative director for a startup CPG brand. We launched from zero to an $11 million valuation, but the company went nowhere because of the reputation of the CEO. And so how do you separate yourself from the success that you create for a company when the company just wants to, get in its own way, if that makes sense?
Yeah, okay. It's a very specific question, and I think I can address this one pretty straightforwardly. There are things that you can take responsibility for and things you cannot. You can say CPG is consumer packaged goods, right? You can say I helped with this, but the rest of it, you can't take ownership over that, the good or the bad. What I think you have to learn in your life, if this keeps happening, is why you keep working with people that are shady as hell.
Well, and then so there's another example that is consistent but different, right? In that it was actually one of my best friends had a distillery, so he needed to steer that in another direction. Then his partners they dissolved in litigation. All the good work, there's no results to sort of measure.
Right. So what's your question there?
How do you build that case study? Like, what do you?
You can show it. You can show the work that never happened. In fact, that is one of my strategies on marketing, by the way. Okay, so here's the catch-22. I know all of you are familiar with this. How do we get a client in an industry that I've never worked for? Because they'll only hire people who've worked in that industry. So what you do is you do speculative work. You design your own case study, and you don't try to pass it off as that was your client.
What results are you promoting if they're...
This one, for what we do, is very specific. Like, I designed this package for this thing. Here's what happened. It never went to market, but you can see my thinking, the strategy, the design, the concept, and we got it all the way to proofs or whatever we got it to, but that's where it stopped.
Okay.
You're selling creative services, right?
Yeah.
Then that's what you show. So for me, I'll tell you this, and this is kind of weird, and it's kind of like I'm talking out of school. I want to do car commercials. No one will hire you to do a car commercial unless you shot a car commercial. It's that simple. Too much risk, right? So I sat down with, I guess, my former student, and at that time, like my protege. We designed a storyboard. She produced most of it, and then we started to show it on our demo reel. I never claimed it to be for Mini Cooper. I just put it on the demo reel. Next thing you know, we're getting work that looks just like that. Sure. If anybody asks, I'm like, it's a spec project. We even entered the work into commercials, into award shows and all kinds of stuff. As long as we read the rules and we didn't feel like we were like crossing the line, we would enter it and won a bunch of awards too.
So are you saying there's gray area?
There's always gray area. There's what my wife and I is like, is this a term? There's this gray moral ambiguity. I used to be a guy on the white side. There's people on the black side, like illegal hacks. And then I was like, I'm a Boy Scout over here. And these people are eating my lunch.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm playing by rules that I imposed upon myself. So how comfortable am I in the moral ambiguity? It turns out pretty comfortable. I didn't know. I discovered this pretty late in life.
Yeah.
Kezi, you want to say something? So you can present anything, just don't lie.
Sure. Yeah.
What happens is if you start to lie, you dig yourself into deeper lies. So if anybody asks, spec project. That was a spec project? We financed it. You could do it for that much money? Yeah. Not for you, but we did it for ourselves for that much money. We got a bunch of projects from that. So my friend Aaron from Farm Design, okay, I'll tell you the quick story and we'll get to Kezi, okay? Aaron was the guy who literally worked in his house in Santa Monica, in an apartment that he rented. And he did this for decades. He didn't think like an entrepreneur. And then one day I'm talking to someone and I share the idea that they shared with me, which was what they did was they bought like handcrafted ice cream, like in small batches from this gourmet ice cream maker. They packed it in dry ice in a container and they would send it out to prospects and they would design the heck out of it, right? And then the story goes, they sent it to somebody that worked at Apple, one of the marketing people, and she was on vacation. So when she came back, it was gross. It was melted and rotting and sour. And she opens this and it's icky and everything, and she had a good laugh. She still gave them the opportunity though, because they made the effort. She just said, next time, figure out my schedule before you send me something like that. So they sent her another batch. So I tell Aaron this, and I said, you need to think as a marketer, not as a designer. So here's what he did, because he does a lot of packaging, right? He convinced a local printer that we both know. He does a lot of work with them. He's like, I want to do a promotional thing, a self-promotional packaging. Would you be willing to go in on this with me? It turns out printers also need capabilities, so they agreed to do some of the most expensive printing that you can order from them for free. He found in Pasadena, like an artisanal ice cream pop shop, like fruit juice, frozen, very healthy, artisanal. And what he did was he designed the packaging for it, and then he went around and hand delivered it to all the local businesses, to the result of 0 new business. He's like, dude, it didn't work. I'm like, it didn't work for you. It's not that it's a bad idea. Here's the thing. He has a young woman working for him who's a recent grad. And she's like, shouldn't we be posting this stuff on social media? He goes, what's that? So she's like, I'm going to do it anyways. So she puts his work up on Behance as Adobe is acquiring Behance, right? And what happens is somehow somebody sees it or wins something on Behance, and then it catches the eye of the director or editor of the die line. If you're in the consumer packaging good, you need to be featured on the die line. They feature the package on the die line. His phone's never stopped ringing since. So there's a lot of ways to get to success. You have to find your path and what works. And sometimes it doesn't work the first shot, but it eventually worked. Now I think he has 6 or 7 employees. He's making more money than he's ever made, doing better projects than he's ever done, and working less than he's ever worked. I told him, what took you so long? He finally decided to put on his big boy pants and be an entrepreneur. So in a situation like the one you're talking about, you just have to learn how to make the most of a not a great situation. As long as you don't lie, you're probably okay. But you have to figure out where you net out on that spectrum of moral ambiguity, right? Between I'll always play by the rules, color within the lines, or I'm going to break laws and get arrested. Somewhere in between is where all of us net out. Some of you might be criminals. I don't know. I'm not here to judge you. That's between you, the authorities, and your maker, right? Okay? So you can show the work. You can talk about the work. You can talk about how you're so sad that it never came to life. Don't throw those people under the bus. Here's one rule. In business, never talk bad about your former clients. Never talk bad about your former clients. New clients are what's going to happen when it doesn't work out with us. It's not a good kind of character. So present it in a way that's truthful, that you don't hurt other people, but you're allowed to show the things that you do. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to assemble a book on all the projects, all the storyboards, all the ideas that we produced that were never made. I was going to call it stillborn. Just a bunch of storyboards, and that's all you would see. To show people the level of creativity that our team had. Okay. You'd buy it. You wouldn't buy it now because it's all old work, but it's kind of a cool concept, right?
For storyboard inspiration, see, like I literally look up your storyboards online and don't find them.
Oh, thanks. Okay. All right. Did you want to say something, Kazi?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go back and we're gonna go Will, okay?
So it's just a quick question,
Yeah.
going back to what Dan said with like not having the case study and like how do you show results? Could you or could we show like how how we solve, like how we could solve the problem, or how, like hypothetically, how we solve the problem?
Yeah. There's a lot of creative ways to generate interest in what you do without actually having a client. There's tons. I've shared this story before. I don't know if I've told you guys in the boot camp or not, but there's a woman, I want to say like she's Asian American working in Silicon Valley. She was fed up with one of these big Silicon Valley app companies, and she'll go, I just redesigned this thing. And it was such a market improvement that the internet went bananas. And then she got so many job offers, it was just ridiculous. And it was just one of these things, she's frustrated. It was a problem, right? So there's an expression, whatever your complaint is, it's your calling. If you feel so passionate about something, about a home, a website, an e-com thing, whatever it is, an app, if you complain about it so much, you're so angry about how bad it is, you go fix it. And you can write about it. No one hired me to do this, but here's what I think would be a vast improvement on X or on Instagram or Snapchat. This one thing kills me about this. And then other people take notice. You have to be in the business of solving problems and learning how to present those problems to prospective buyers. That's the name of the game. Okay? That's it. If you can do that well, you get tons of business. Let's go all the way in the back. Remind me your name again?
Scott.
Scott. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so I was just wanted to ask about dialing in the avatar. Hi, Tim. We had talked at the start of boot camp, and I know that he wasn't doing furniture makers, I think, at that time. So maybe I'm wrong.
You guys know each other?
Yeah, we talked at
Okay,
the start.
okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
So just about dialing in, you'd asked to poke holes, so
Right.
sorry, Tim. But just exactly what that avatar is. So is it only furniture makers in the Midwest who make,
You're asking a super specific question to Tim right now?
Yeah, but then also about how to pick this group, because I'm in the place where I have several different groups I could serve. And so it sounds like with what you're doing, Chris, where you're also changing groups, where you went from creatives and now you're switching to the business people who need the creative.
I'm adding, not switching to. But yes.
Okay, adding.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right. How would you know which one to pick?
Yes. How do you
Have
know
you done
which
Alan
one to
Dibb's
pick? And then,
exercise?
yeah, and then how much to dial that in?
Okay.
Right.
Have you done Alan Dibb's exercise, the PVP?
No.
Okay. We've talked about this before, yeah? So, I don't want to write here, but let's just do
Was
it.
this covered in the course?
In the positioning
Okay.
module. Yeah? It's like, what are you, I think, passionate about? I think that's a P. I'm just pulling this off the top of my head. I could get some of the letters wrong here. Passionate, and then value to market, which is the V. Maybe it's passion and purpose, something like that, right? It's what makes you happy. And then P is profit. It doesn't really matter what letters you use or what variables. You just create a system, a criteria for how you're going to measure what market you want to work in. So if there's a market that's super valuable and highly profitable, but you got no passion or you don't feel aligned with your purpose, then screw it. As a creative person, I would say that if it doesn't pass the first test, forget the rest. You all didn't choose to suffer through ridicule of your parents and everybody in your community to then just go make money doing something you hate. There's no point. Okay? Most of what you do has to be driven by your passion, fueled by your purpose. Otherwise, there's no point. Okay? So create anything. I think David C. Baker writes about this also in this book, The Business of Expertise. Several people do this, and Ron J. Baker writes about it in Implementing Value Pricing. Create some criteria and score all of your clients. And then get rid of your bottom two. And keep doing that, and you just rebuild all of your clients. Constantly. This never stops. It's how you evolve as a company, right? So score your clients from A to B or A to F, and then fire the Fs. Cherish the A's and try to get more clients like your A's. Okay? Now, I don't think Tim literally is going to work with Midwesterners only, but he understands the profile. And this is the beautiful thing. As we talk to Eamon, he talked to Blair Enns, it's the same thing. The market is bigger than your target. Like he'll do furniture makers, and then next thing you know, it's like accessories or some other thing. But there's a core there, and you start with the core. You know what Eamon said? He's like, it's kind of weird. Years ago when Steve Jobs came back, they do this campaign with Shy Day. Here's to the crazy ones, the square pegs in the round holes, and think different. They're still selling to the same group. But how many rebels are out there? Not that many, it turns out. But the market is ginormous because it's aspirational. They define a core market, and they're building up for bankruptcy. And they just focus on that. They're like, let's go all in on that. Could you imagine if there were a bunch of suits and executive types saying like, Steve, what are you doing? Why would you focus on this market? They have no money. This is not going to go anywhere. It's too small. We should be focusing on what Microsoft is doing. What a disaster that would be. Now, luckily, he's a CEO and he's stubborn, so he gets to make the decisions. So he decides we're going to do this because we've lost our way. They find their way back to the rebels, the crazy ones, the artists, the creatives, the mavericks. They find their voice, and who doesn't want a little bit of that inside them, right? It's the same reason why Nike can sell so many shoes to non-athletes. Because they make you this promise, like we're all connected to this potential of greatness in all of us. Michael Jordan does his flying through the air, tongue hanging out, dunks the ball in the hoop, and it's like, be like Mike. You can't do that. But it's aspirational. It's aspirational. Okay. Where were we moving the mic to? Will. We're moving to Will. So just toss it right behind you.
So I just wanted to add to your conversation.
To Dan?
Dan?
Okay, go for it.
So I'm in the political space, in communications specifically. And so the only thing I'd add to the case study conversation is just don't volunteer any information you don't have to. You're going to have opportunities in the conversation to circumvent the topic of the results. You can talk about the process. You can talk about all these other things. And so you could gear yourself up. I guess it's an accusation audit. Is that what, Chris? You could make that. And so you could set yourself up to, show your product and not necessarily the result of it. And that's good advice, I think, for anybody, especially if you've done a lot of work that isn't necessarily panned out the way you'd like. There's good qualities to every project, I'm sure, and you can focus on that and have that conversation.
I don't know if you guys know this, but like when we were making commercials and music videos, we didn't always show the one that we finished for the client. We'd show our version, the director's cut. Yeah, because the next client doesn't care. They don't care. It's your portfolio. You do with what you want. So let's say they said, make the logo 18 times bigger. You're like, okay, I got to do it. Then the one that you put on your website is the one that's the appropriately sized. That's all. I don't know what design school you guys went to where they told you must show what the clients. You don't. And to Will's thing, just to kind of remind y'all, don't say more than you need to say. It's annoying, first of all, and it feels like super suspicious. We just did this. That's it. And only answer the questions that you're asked. Otherwise, it's like one of those things. You guys ever watch like the cops highlight on TikTok? It's hilarious. You know that TV show, The Cops, Bad Boys, They show these things, and every single person they talk to tells them too much information. You're like, oh my God, why would you do that? And then the newer versions of these videos are ones like the people who know their rights. Like, do you have a warrant? Do you have what am I being detained for? I know my rights. It's this code, and they don't say nothing. And that's what you guys are. You're like the drunken criminal. You gave him way too much information. It looks horrible. Just watch some of those things and look in the mirror and like, am I acting like this person or this person? And you have to make that decision. Okay. So Tim's got a clear profile. Will, did you want to say something else?
Oh, no.
Okay. So Tim's got a clear profile. Who's got another profile? And let's figure this out. Okay, we'll throw it all the way in the back. Okay, she's got it.
Thank you.
It's Abby. So let's go, Abby.
How do you niche down or define your client or customer if you've got two avatars or two personas that are codependent? So you need both of them to make what you do work.
I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
You can't just say they're codependent. You have to tell me what it is so that I can hear it, and it'll fall apart. Let's see.
Sure, I was trying to keep things simple
Yeah.
because I haven't.
What is one profile and why are they codependent?
Okay, so first profile is I like building communities. So I assist the small business sector in business development. So I help them find funding and partnerships for cool initiatives, innovations, that kind of stuff.
Pause. Do you do pitch decks?
Yes.
That's how you help them find funding?
I leverage relationships that I build.
Okay, so you know a lot of rich people.
Yes, which is
Okay.
the second avatar. So I need
Okay.
the relationships
Okay.
to have that much engagement and continual investment in those relationships.
Okay.
But the demographics are polar opposite, right? So you've
Of course.
got the CEO of a less than $200 million company versus the government entity or large multinational that's got billions.
Okay, so Abby knows a lot of rich philanthropists, and then she also knows causes who need money. Yeah, more or less?
Large corporates that are obligated to give back to their community,
Okay.
different.
They're guilted into giving money.
Yep.
Written to their bylaws, kind
Yes.
of? Yes, okay. I don't know if you guys know this. It was a recent discovery of mine not that long ago that several corporations have it written to their bylaws they must hire a certain group of people and give them certain money away, and it's freaking awesome. And so there's like, that's why diversity, equity, inclusion consultants and advisors make a freaking lot of money because there's not enough people who know how to do it, and there's huge demand for it. Everybody I know who does DEI stuff, they're just making this bank. Yeah, it is true, right? Are you okay? Yeah, I only know a handful, and they're just falling over money. It's awesome. So once you know how corporate structures work, then you can help liberate them from their money, and give it to other people. So you're solving two problems, right? So your business model, the way I understand it, works because you need to know the corporations who need to get rid of their money, and connect them to things that they feel good about giving money to, right? Okay, so what's the problem now?
Or how do you niche? To communicate, so launching a website, the language used to attract and the branding used to attract a small business sector, you need to be really engaging and accessible and approachable because it scares people off if you're not. But with the corporates, you need to almost be the antithesis of that. You need to be ballsy and you need to be pushy. And so I don't know how to niche because they both want different things or to be communicated to in different ways.
Pretty easy.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
I'm so glad I flew all this way.
No, I love it. Okay, it's super cool. You know how it is, like, I can't figure it out, and like, where are my glasses? And they're like right here. Has anybody seen my glasses? And everybody can see the glasses. Okay, so you guys understand her problem? She's a connector, and there are two very different types of profiles or avatars. What's an Australian Aussie girl to do? What do you guys think? Two websites?
I'm curious if you would just do 2 brands.
Why don't you speak to that? This. Yeah. She's like, what? What am I talking about? Yeah, you have to speak into that.
Yeah, I would build 2 brands.
Okay. That's what you do. Okay, so there's
I'm
2
curious,
websites, 2
yeah.
brands. What if she doesn't want to? I'll put the constraint. You can't build 2 brands and you cannot build 2 websites. What would you do? Kezia, go. There's an elegant solution. It's
I
really
would
elegant.
find the common problem that they both have and speak to that.
Okay. And throw it away. It's Ellen, right?
Ellen, yeah,
Okay.
I think you communicate to the money.
Okay, so we're hearing a couple of options here, Abby. Let's do one more. Throw it to her. What is your name?
Candela.
Canella?
Candela.
Candela, okay, there's a D in there. Got it.
Yeah. What about what Uber does? You know, when you log into the app and you're like, are you a driver or a passenger sort of thing?
100% right there. Just ask them to make a decision.
Like a landing page that's like, my cause needs help or I want to help a cause sort of thing, like question?
100%. That's all it is. So the landing page says, make a decision. Are you this or are you that? As soon as you click on that, it takes you to that page. If you're this, it takes you to that page.
And you can tailor the language to be very different. Like, it doesn't
Has to
affect
be.
the brand.
Has to be.
Okay.
Okay? It's going to sound totally different. Right? And you're the bridge between the two. You see, there's an elegant solution. You just have to wait for Candela to light you up.
Worth the flight. Done. Thank you.
Done, right? Easy. Okay. See, the challenge here is all of you are like, I can't figure it out. There's nobody can solve this problem. And within 3 minutes, like, there it is. All right. We have 5 more minutes before we go to eat something. Kira, go ahead. We're still on the avatar. Don't bring up some new problems here, okay?
No problems,
No?
just
Okay,
an
no.
avatar.
Just love.
So I worked on an avatar, and that's startup founder in the AI space. It's his second startup, not the first one, second or third startup. It's funded at least $10 million. He exited from the previous startup. He is industry agnostic in terms of the verticals. It's probably B2B one, and he works in AI. That's it.
Okay. Let's use fewer words. Strip it down for me. Just give me the key, most important words. Look at your, did you just read this off a list? Or you just,
Yeah.
okay, look at your list. What are the most important words? Just an incomplete sentence. What?
Yeah, it's second time founder of AI startup that raised more than a 10.
Wait, one word at a time. Okay, this is a veteran startup founder, a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So let's write down the word serial entrepreneur.
Yeah,
We don't want them to be in business for the first time. They're F-ups. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, serial entrepreneur, what's the next variable?
It's in AI space.
AI, okay.
Yeah. Raised more than a $10 million.
Okay, so funded serial entrepreneur doing AI.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
B2B. Yeah.
In
Works
B2B?
B2B. Yeah.
Okay,
Works in B2B.
it's pretty clear to me. AI is ginormous. People are getting $100 million just because they whispered the word AI at a pitch. Seems there's enough market. Seems specific enough to me. Punch holes in it. Who can punch a hole in it? Go ahead. Who's got the mic? Right here. Good catch. Your name again?
Jed.
Jed?
Yeah.
Okay, go Jed.
So where's the pain point? Like what I'm looking for there is like that how do you target, basically where's the pain point?
Okay, that would be stage 2. We're dealing with the avatar. Is there anything wrong with the avatar yet? Funded, have the money. They want to move in AI, hot and trending. They're serial entrepreneur. They kind of now can make better decisions than before. Okay? So let's go to Jed's next question then. Unless somebody wants to poke a hole. You want to try and poke a hole? Okay. Jed, throw it to Tim, please. Ooh, good catch. Sticky fingers. You missed your calling, man.
Yeah.
You should have been wide receiver.
Yeah. The AI will make you useless. Like
What?
like the AI. No,
Let's start a whole statement here. It's like, woo!
No, it's like what if the AI replaces what you're doing?
What?
I mean, all of us.
He's developing the tools to replace you.
I misunderstood what you were saying then.
He's going to build the tools to replace you. Yeah.
Gotcha. I misunderstood. Sorry.
Sort of.
Will has.
Yeah. Poke a hole, Will.
There's a million people trying to do the same thing you are, especially with AI. Before this, it was blockchain. Before that, it was everything else. And so I think the pain point for them might be knowing how to properly decide the person or the contract or whoever they'll actually go with. And so if you can figure out how to alleviate something that just like makes you shine through the competition.
Okay. So Will's offering some thoughts on some ideas and things like that, right? So first, we're going to take this just one step at a time. So if we understand that there's a person, the next step, before we come up with promotion or things, like what's the problem before we get to the product? Now, you would think AI is going to be super saturated, and as saturated as you think it's going to get, I think the appetite is insatiable. That's just my guess. Because it's like every day I log onto YouTube, I watch another video about a new AI tool, and there's a website that just talks about all the new AI tools, and every single week the list is getting ginormous. Because it's like the Wild West, and it's a gold rush, and everybody's just going out and getting their gold, okay? I'm involved in 2 AI projects myself, and I'm a pretty busy guy in a relatively small space, right? So I'm going to develop tools because I want to get in on it as well. And so people who can help me achieve that vision, they're going to make money. We're going to make money together. It's just that simple. Okay, so Kiro being in the potential space of working with funded entrepreneurs that are serial entrepreneurs, it seems like a no-brainer. So what is the problem that you'll solve? What is the product? And then we'll get into the promotion. Those are all the creative things that we get to do. But I can't see a problem yet with his avatar. He's created all the conditions. And I think there's a lot of them out there, actually. Right? Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, there is a bunch of them. There is no, the UX for AI is not yet defined because no one yet interacted with AI on a level that that defines the user experience, and that's the first thing. But more importantly, there is a tons of the similar startups in AI, and the only thing that they will compete with is the marketing and UX. That's it, because the technology behind the AI is pretty much very similar for the end user.
Yeah. What are you going to build for them?
User experience for AI startups.
Okay. Is there any way you can validate that quickly, that that's what they want and what they'll pay for?
Yeah, I have 7 clients who are including Mozilla Firefox and a bunch of.
Okay,
cool
so you
guys.
already have case studies. You already know it's going to work.
Yeah.
Okay, so no problem then.
Mm-hmm.
You're good? Why are you wasting our time then?
You know, getting more insights.
What insight do you need? It's working. Isn't that what you're saying, Kiro?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Are you just flexing on us or what? What are you doing, dude? I went to see Kiro in New York. He was already in the penthouse suite. So it's like, what are you doing? I got no problems. You're like, how do I hide my money from the IRS, Chris? You got no problems. He's like, I already figured it out. I have 7 clients, case studies. It's all good. Is it all good?
It always could be better, right? That's why we're
Shut the front door.
If you've enjoyed this video, you're getting a glimpse of the insights shared inside our Business Bootcamp. If you want to find out more, check out the link below.